Welcome to another episode of Real Talk All Sport. I'm here with Nathan Blake. Look at this.
A new venue.
We said last week we could possibly be somewhere different.
Yeah, and we are different. I like it. It's like some like warehouses that are converted into properties and stuff. It's pretty trendy. I mean, the public can't see the other side,
Yeah.
but this side is fantastic.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we've got the Real Talk green in the background as well,
Yeah.
which is really nicely done.
Yeah, and John said he's going to get you a Chesterfield.
I know.
Because when I'm sat in that chair, I don't want to be sat in that wooden chair.
Can you hear that?
With all due respect, not with my back and my age.
Yeah, so a massive thanks to Morgan and Teddy's Place. We're here with the Teddy's merch as well.
Teddy the Ledge.
Yeah, so
Thanks,
it's
Morgs.
beautiful.
Top man.
Beautiful studio for us to be recording the
Nice
pod in.
t-shirt too.
They're nice.
Quite comfortable.
I know. So absolutely repping Teddy's Place. You can check them out on Instagram as well, and the amazing stuff they do in Cardiff for the creative industries and in terms of podcasting, in terms of photography and advertising as well, and just ran by good people as well.
Yeah.
So big up to Teddy's Place.
Big up.
How's the sofa? You look in a
It's
nice.
nice, actually. Yeah. We need a guest. That's our next step, right? Is
Yeah.
Get a guest, and the guest, he or she will probably sit here, and I'll be out there, or I'll be there, and you'll be there. One of us will
There in
be
your
it'll be musical
Chesterfield.
chairs,
Nice.
right?
I
But
like
I'll have a Chesterfield. Yeah. John's just promised it.
Nice. We're in Teddy's doing another episode of Real Talk All Sport, which you can find us on Spotify with Real Talk All Sport Podcast. You can find us on Instagram as well, Real Talk All Sport Podcast. We're on TikTok as well and on YouTube if you type in Mr. B Productions WAL.
Yes, Dav.
Nice. And so then, bringing on from last time we spoke about the Wales women's milestone, which was an amazing achievement. Still riding that wave.
Yeah, I told you they'd do it.
Amazing. And in doing so, they qualified for their first ever major tournament,
Yeah.
which will be taking place next year. And we've seen what their fixtures are.
Yeah, for their first major tournament, not the easiest. Go on, do you want to read them out? I know England are in there.
Yeah, so on
I
July...
know Netherlands are in there.
July the
I know
5th.
France are in there.
Yeah. July the 5th, Netherlands, who are ranked 10th in the world.
Yeah,
July the 9th, France, who are ranked 11th in the world.
yeah.
And then July the 13th, England, who are ranked 4th. I thought they would be first.
Well, they're tournament holders, aren't they?
Yes.
Everyone's holders.
But in terms of globally, obviously, because it's
Yeah.
the Euros, USA at the top, and England are 4th. But I think 4th is quite
Fourth,
low.
10 and 11.
Yeah, I think kind of England should probably be a bit higher up because
Yeah.
they are phenomenal.
Yeah. But football's a strange game. I don't think many people backed Wales to go to Ireland to get a result, right? A lot of people were saying, "Oh, they had injuries. Ireland last time they played, and Wales are fortunate, what have you."
Especially in the second leg in
away
Ireland,
from home,
packed.
But it's that's what pressure does to people. So, it's so we've gone to tournaments and surprised and shocked. So, like I would say to anybody, okay, we did have a great World Cup. We had a decent last Euros, but if you look at 2016 as the highlight, getting to a semi-final, that just if that proves anything, it proves that there's no guarantees, right? There's no, you can't put a winner's badge on someone before the event. Okay, they might be the favourite, but it doesn't mean say they're going to win out in the game. And we've seen in tournaments prior where Greece have gone on and won the tournament. So Denmark have gone on and won tournaments. So I always say tournament football is knockout game.
The one that springs to mind for me was Germany against Brazil. Do you remember when Germany absolutely wiped the floor with Brazil?
Yeah.
A few years ago. So And Brazil were favourites for that World Cup. So we know the big guys can be beaten.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're, as a Welsh fan as well, you look at those lineups, you think, like, Netherlands in tournament football always seem to show up.
Yeah.
Which good. France. Oh.
Yeah, they're good. They're strange of France. They should always. I always think with French ladies, I always think they should do more than what they actually achieved.
Yeah, they've got a striker called Mallard who plays for Manchester United.
That's right. Yeah,
she looks dangerous. And so that's one thing that scares me, because she's tall, she's fast, she's clinical, and in kind of the women's football, they are the most frightening players when watching them play. And then you look at England, where I don't know if it's just a Welsh thing. They are incredibly, incredibly good, but it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the level of investment, I would say you have to look at as well. And we spoke about this the last show, where, I think for Wales particularly, I think sport in school is hugely important, because we don't have the sort of revenues that they do in England. It's as simple as that. We just don't. So we've got to think to ourselves, right, at every opportunity, we've got to maximize every opportunity. So to have where kids could be playing a sport during school, so if you're lucky enough and it's football, we used to play before whistle or bell, and you get in like 8:45, play for 15 minutes, then you'd have your lessons. I'm talking junior school now, and then you'd have your break, your morning break, and you play there half an hour, 40 minutes. Then you'd have dinner, and you come out after dinner, you'd have an hour, which is your best break, so you play for an hour. And then you have your afternoon break, and you play for half an hour again, and then you go home after school, and then go to the boys' club. So it was, sport was such a huge part of life in the 80s and 90s. I just think that's an opportunity where I say, well, if you're a child, even if you're playing with your mates, you're spending time improving. You will. If you do something every day religiously, you will get better and better and better at it. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if it's playing the piano or learning to do a cartwheel or, playing football. The more hours, that's how the academy system was formed, on the fact that kids play so many hours in schools. So they tried to take that away and put it into the academy system, those sort of hours upon hours upon hours. So
I've never thought of it like that.
For the women, well, I'm here to educate you.
Yeah, thank you. Because you do that every single break. You're there with the guy who's got the football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Against the wall, and you're essentially unconsciously training.
Yeah. Well, in school, we used to put the jumpers down, and you'd have like 7v7. Do you know what I mean? On the yard. You just played. Sometimes you play against the older boys. Sometimes you play against the younger guys. But that's just the way it was. But that repetitive day in, day out. And then you think you do that 4 years, or 3 years in infant school, 4 years in junior school, and 5 years in high school. You know what I mean? That's 12 years combined of, best part of 10 months, at least you're probably doing, at least just in school alone, an hour and a half a day, 90 minutes a day.
Okay.
Total that up, practicing your touch, little, shots, skills, whatever you do in the yard against your friends. And it's just a way of improving. So I think it's important that wherever we can, but again, it comes down to finance, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, just once you've had that time to play, then playing for a club, getting that coaching in, to get that extra level, those little things of use your left foot a little bit more.
Yeah.
Take it down on your chest. Maybe if it's a high ball, learn to take it on your thigh. Just those little things.
Yeah. We didn't have academies in my day. We had a place called Spencer Boys Club on the estate, which most estates had like a team, whether it was rugby, football,
and
if you were lucky, both.
Who would coach?
And we had a my coach as a kid was named Harry Lee. Harry could have been a professional, decided to marry his wife, Vicky Lee, instead, and never went to the trial. You know, that's how the story goes. But he was a great player, brilliant header of the ball, and an excellent coach for like 9-year-olds. So what I would say is we played football in school, but we were coached. We were fortunate that we were coached by our club manager, Harry, from the age of about 8. He started a team. And yeah, I think we even won boys' clubs of Wales and all that. Brilliant. We had a great time as kids.
And I imagine some of the best memories you've ever had playing football.
Oh, by a country mile. By a country mile.
Because it's amazing. It's playing in those stadiums.
It's great.
Around the world. But
playing at
sometimes...
Sophia Gardens when you're 10 in the 6-a-side tournament, you know, is against, and there's like 30 other teams from all over Wales, South Wales. It was brilliant.
I remember playing in Sophia Gardens actually as well. Yeah, that was some of the best. Yeah.
With the tennis ball.
Yeah. I remember playing against some of those. It's one of the only times I've probably ever scored.
Yeah. So it's the importance of like what the women have done now is, okay, if the finance isn't there to, you know, roll out massive sort of initiatives, I would say one initiative they could look at is going back to having, you know, teachers in school who I think just had PE in school, but like also, you know, in between breaks, so kids probably still do. I hope they still do kick football during the break time. But you know, having school teams and stuff like that is so important as well.
And obviously, on the July the 13th, England are playing Wales. One thing that fascinates me is it just comes as part of being part of the Celtic nation in football. You have you guys who are born in Wales. Like yourself, who've grown up in Wales, know no different of playing in Wales as a Welsh person. Then you also have players who were possibly born in England, have family who are Welsh, and decide to play in those nations. What is there any difference between being a Welsh person playing against England as opposed to being someone who's born in England, now represents Wales, and being having to like, do they have the same like want to win in terms of like?
I'd say yes, 100%.
Yeah,
because it comes down to, I don't think any of us in any competition, when it comes to competition, really and truly go, it matters more if you're from that place. So when you step over the white line, you're not thinking, well, I'm Welsh and you're from Japan, so I want it more than you because you're actually born in England, but you're playing for Japan because your parents are Japanese. It's like, no. He wants to beat me and I want to beat him. So it just comes down to like two bulls in a field, head to head. You know what I mean? Really and truly. I mean, you know, everyone will say, oh, playing for my country, Welsh, pride. English, pride. Scottish, pride. Northern Irish, pride. Republic of Ireland, pride. You know, France, Germany, no matter what, you all say, oh, you know, it's a proud moment and all that. But when you go over the white line, you know, it's not pride that gets you the win or the defeat. It's, can I beat him? Can he beat me? And that's what, you know, wins out at the end of the day. So I don't think it's fair to say, or it means more to someone who's born in Wales to play for Wales. Because everyone's individual, everyone's different, right, Dav?
Yeah.
You know, if you're born in England, your mum and dad are from Wales, and you've been back and forth Wales and seen your grandparents all your life, like, of course you're going to love it. Of course you're going to have pride for it, you know? So I don't think it matters, to be honest with you.
Cool. Because I thought there could almost be an aspect of, if you're born in England and then you move to the other team, it's like, right, I got to show it, you know, like almost that, like I feel sometimes as my like with my nationality.
You're a different kind of sportsman.
Yeah. This is probably why I never made it.
You're a secret assassin.
Yeah.
You've got this nice guy image, but you're an assassin. I don't know where you're coming from.
Yeah, because sometimes, I look at kind of my family tree of nationality, it's like, so my mum was born in Northern Ireland, and so there's elements of Northern Ireland which I like feel like a love to. There's also like Matheson is Scottish, and so my great grandparents were Scottish, and like you have that kind of tartan, you have that family
Celtic,
crest,
yeah.
and like sometimes you see them do well in sport, and you're like, oh, I quite like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And essentially, if I was to, if I got the opportunity to play for a national sport, which obviously is going to happen sometime soon, I could have qualified for Wales, Ireland, and Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And I could have gone for England as well.
So would have it meant more to you to play for Northern Ireland than it would have played for Wales, or more to play for Wales than Northern Ireland?
I've never thought myself of.
You feel like a mix, right?
Yeah, I almost feel
you're
like
Welsh, but you're a mix of nations.
If I did, I almost feel like there could have been an element of if I did play for Northern Ireland, I got to prove.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, you are what you are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm Welsh, but my dad's Jamaican.
Yeah.
On my mum's side, my great grandfather is, I think, Antiguan. My mum's born in Wales. Grandma was born in Wales. My great grandmother, we believe, is Waterford in Ireland.
So you could have qualified for a lot of international teams.
So
did you ever think about it?
Yeah, I'm thinking about trying to get a European passport. That's what I am thinking about, Daf. Yeah. So because it's. Without those relatives, you're not here.
Yeah.
So you have to give respect. My thing is to go to the library and try and find out some stuff. I've been saying it for too long, but I will eventually go to the Cardiff Library and find out some stuff. And I'd love to go to Waterford in Ireland. I hope that's where my great grandmother's from. Because we'll have, you think as well, our family there.
Yeah.
I've never met.
I will say this, when you go past everyone at the airport as well, I've had like people shout like horrible things to me when going like passing through all the guys. They're like, this is the British line, and I've just gone with the Irish passport. Whoosh! I'm like, thank you very much, and then I get to go through.
Yeah.
But it's also fascinating because it is part of your roots, and
absolutely
and learn about it. And I think there's also something interesting about we could play for the same team, but we could play for completely different teams as well, and play against each other. I'm sure if you go back,
it'd be Heritage of Africa, right?
Yeah.
And probably, well, it would be in yours too, somewhere along the line, way back when. So, it's, I just think, most people are proud of whatever their heritage is. It's not just the country they're born. You're extremely proud of your grandparents for what they've done, right? What they achieved. Allowing your parent to then come here and do what they've done, and then but this is home, right? Home is your home first, right?
Yeah,
that's the truth. But if you had to represent one of the other nations, great. How did we get there anyway?
I love it. That's what's beautiful about it.
From Holland, from the Netherlands,
from Netherlands, France, England.
So let me ask you, how do you think the women will do?
I think there's an element of it can either, the thing is, it can either go of two ways, right? It can either go of similar to how the men's did in the first time of the Euros, where it's like, right, we got nothing to lose here. We are the lowest ranked out of the guys in our teams, so we just go out, show what we can do, play our best, and then in that you actually show the whole of like the continent how good a nation you are with a good fan base. So they could do that. Also, it could be a massive reality here of first international tournament, and it's a massive learning curve into, like, you look at Wales with the World Cup. It was hard. It was really hard. However, that could have been really good for Wales in terms of how the teams looked now and what they've learned from it. And they look like some of the players, like you look at like Nico Williams, Harry Wilson, they are phenomenal players now. And like you like to think it's from
all
their
these
experiences.
Absolutely.
And so I think it could go one of two ways. I'd like to think with England, I'd love to beat them. I think we can. I know England is so good, but we play a similar system to them with the like five at the back. So we know how they do things. As long as we can deal with the pace, we don't get carried away because England will try and control it. You've seen them play tournament football. They're really experienced in tournament football. They almost have a player in every position that suits their position so well.
2 players in every position.
Yeah, like you look at like the England team in the back 3. In the middle you've got Bright, who is really tall, really strong, good at heading. That's perfect for the middle of the 3. Just to her left is Alex Greenwood, who has got a brilliant left foot, really good at passing and aggressive as anything. And then you've got your Lauren Jameses, your Chloe Kellys, who are fast, skillful people. I think if you can learn to deal with them, like in a disciplined system, we could hold it out and do well. I think then the second thing is just preparing for subs. That as soon as they bring on subs, they're going to be fast. But I always back Wales. You've got to. I've never gone into a game against England and thought, "Oh, we can't do this."
Yeah.
I've never, that's
because there's no expectation.
Yeah.
Right? There's no pressure. The pressure's all on the opponent, and the longer it goes without scoring, longer the game goes without any of the 3, I would say, scoring, the chance of winning the game or getting a result out of the game just increases.
And then what do you think they've got to do then how do you think they'll do
Well,
and what have they got to do?
I would say approach it in that sense. No pressure. We're not here just to turn up and, experience the tournament. We're here to give it a proper go. And they will. That's just a sort of Welsh spirit thing, right? It's like, we'll go. You imagine like Jess. Jess is a tiger. She's been trying to get the tournaments for decades almost, right? She's going to go in there, okay, bit of pressure because it's their first tournament, but she's going to be rocking and rolling, back end of her career, nothing to lose, everything to gain, girls. You just go for it. We're proud of them regardless, right? That's what I would say, because there's always the hoodoo of breaking the first, right? Being first to qualify for the tournament. Like, the men didn't do it for 60 odd years. And then 2016, they broke the hoodoo. And then subsequently, you've qualified for 3 other tournaments since. That's not, that's not luck. It becomes to do something, to believe you can do it, you have to do it. If you keep trying and failing, it doesn't become, the dream becomes like too far off in the distance. That's what I think is wonderful for the women above everything, is they've broken that hoodoo, and now it's not just them. There's all those kids who are like 8, 9, 10 watching and thinking, right, I want to play for Wales women. I want to go into a European tournament. I want to go to a World Cup. I want to be first to score in a World Cup for Wales. I want to be fit. Do you know what I mean? All these things. And
in the Wales games, there's possibly more young people in the women's games than the men's ones as well. So the amount of inspiration is like at a heightened level.
Absolutely. So I think what they've done is already like tilt your hat, amazing, right? I'd love it. And I don't get too hooked up on whether they go to the tournament and don't do well or do well. I'm more of, if you're looking at longevity, it's what qualifying does. Yeah? That just qualifying. So there's going to be a tidal wave of young girls now, young boys joining football, whether it's, if they've got a school team, they'll be going for it. If there's a club team local, they'll go for it. And it just increases the numbers, the footfall coming. So what happens is when you get to the top in 15, 20 years' time, you've got more options because there's been more people, so you should get a better standard. So that's the way it rolls forward.
In terms of what a competition does then for a country like Wales, is qualifying to go to the Euros almost more important than, say, getting out the group stages of the Euros in likes of what it can do for a country in inspiration levels?
Yeah, because if you never get there, it's just a pipe dream. You just talk about it. The next tournament comes around. I can say this because, we experienced it. We had I played with some unbelievable players for Wales. Unreal players. And we never experienced tournament football. So because if I was totally honest, looking back, you say you believe, but you don't actually believe. Why? Because by the time, I can remember people saying on the bus now after 4 games, like, we're usually out of the running for it. Do you know what I mean? And that becomes sort of set in mentality. Like we joked about it, but you're almost willing it in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then what happened to DeMar Hughes was he just brought a complete change. It was a complete change of professionalism. And that's what I would say. The level of professionalism wasn't great either. And yeah, it was in an era where people still drank after games and went out and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about, like, facility-wise, where we trained, how we trained, sort of set we do. We didn't ever play to keep the ball. We played to kick it away as far as possible and defend. And then when you look back and you think, well, you have players like Pem, Arts, Sparky, Rushy, and Nev, Barry Owen, Bose. You just think to yourself, Andy Mel, great player. Like, Kit, like, where did it? Why didn't we? I don't remember ever, like, work into a session. This is how we're going to break them down. Then I never ever. I don't think I ever pulled on a Welsh shirt, having worked on, up until Sparky, having worked on how we're going to break down the opposition.
And in terms of when you were playing with those guys, and it wasn't quite to the system that you think it could have been, what system would have worked for your time with those guys? What kind of style and system? Because the games...
Well, it was all about sort of like 5 at the back, like defend, or 5 midfield.
What would you have liked
and
to
leave
see?
at the beginning, leave Rushy up front. Excuse me, because he was so quick, and like Sparky chomping in midfield. But I don't know. I think you could have played 4-4-2 because you had Sparky and Rushy and Dino. You could have played 4-3-3 because, you could have put Dino at one side, Giggsy up on the other side, and then put people in midfield, put Sparky in midfield. So you like, thinking back, you probably had so many options. I played like right wing back for Wales, centre forward for Wales. I mean, with Davey as a right wing back under Tosh. So you had players who could play in numerous positions as well. So you had a bit of everything. So I don't think coaching was as detailed then as it is now then. Let me say that. That's a polite way of saying it, isn't it? I think the girls will be fine. I don't think there's any sort of, I don't think they should worry about thinking, we go there and we don't perform. I just say, like, you got no pressure at all. Just go and, 3 top teams. I would say if they come out with a point or 2, they've done fantastically well.
And we've seen them enough now to see how they play and the heart they put into to everything. The last-ditch tackles.
They don't roll over.
Yeah. They're hard as nails.
Yeah.
So
they're dragon-like.
Time for goodness, Blake.
Yeah, so let's move on, shall we? So good luck, ladies. Good luck.
For goodness, Blake. So I brought For Goodness, Blake to you last week, and you're bringing For Goodness, Blake this time because you wanted to talk about Pep Guardiola. We're not specific. It's not a For Goodness, Blake on Pep.
Yeah.
It's a For Goodness, Blake on the calls.
Well,
Get him out.
Yeah. It's
Pep out.
It was a For Goodness, Blake where I heard something saying, I can't remember what it was. I think, I can't remember what channel it was on even, but they were saying, has Pep lost the dressing room? And even my best mate rang me and said, do you reckon he's lost the dressing room? And I was like, huh? Like, no, it's just like, hit a brick wall together. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, wouldn't sport be very, very boring if they just kept winning? If there was no sort of drama, in what they do, not just winning titles, but losing titles. But my thing is, like, I always say, like, you should never write off greatness. We've seen it, whether it's been football, boxing, gymnastics, swimming, athletics, you name every sport, tennis. I remember when they were writing off Roger Federer, Tiger Woods, golf, yeah. And I mean, I'm talking greatness when it's gone beyond where you think, when they come back, like these people who are at the top of the tree, not there. They haven't been there because they were okay. They've been there because they were unbelievable. So I just put it down to injuries, one, lack of confidence, two, because it doesn't matter who you are, you can suffer that. And not an aging squad as in they got loads of older players, but aging as in it's been together a while and those players have achieved something, well, it's never been done before in British football. So at some point, when someone's asking you mentally, physically, to be like 10, like constantly, and you might drop to a 9.5 and then they pick you up back up to 10, and like at some point, exhaustion kicks in.
A little bit of football burnout.
Absolutely. That's what I think it's more of than anything else. I think it's just, I said to my best mate the other day, seen it with Klopp, right? They were calling like the 7-year glitch he gets. And he went out and bought like Sabazlai, McAllister, Gravenberg, and Gakpo. And he basically revamped the midfield or gave himself a lot of options because he's still okay up front and his defence was okay. So defence haven't changed much. Yeah. And
they were just lacking...
Got Konate in there.
I like Konate.
Yeah, and then they went and got another striker. So, people look in, and I would say Manchester City, like, give it 3 or 4 signings, two or three signings now, January, and then 2 or 3 signings in the summer. That's totally revamped. Don't underestimate greatness. I'm still gonna say they're in the title race.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though they've lost to Liverpool, lost to United, lost to Spurs.
Yeah. I think they'll come. Yeah. Their thing now it's can we come back? Can we rebuild and can we come back? And I know like some of the players I'm saying are old, but it doesn't say they aren't great.
Yeah.
All right. So there'll come a game where a moment happens. They'll win 1-0 or 2-1 late on, and like Haaland's not been firing, he's not been getting chances really, but it'll all click back in, and then we'll see
And it shows as well with pivotal players, like you look at Rodri, it does take time if they do go to then figure out what works after. Because you look at Liverpool, when they revamped the midfield, a massive one was massive thing because of that was Fabinho.
Because you wouldn't have put McAllister in that role, I don't think.
Not that player at all.
Yeah, I thought when Liverpool signed him and they said, because he didn't play 6 first of all, he's sort of moved to a 6, and then Gravenberg is like a 6 come 8 because he can travel with the ball.
Szoboszlai's not defensive.
Yeah, so you've got a totally different mix, totally different legs, and I think that's what's happening to Man City. So for goodness, Blake, let it be. And I think I'm going to say I'm going to say you're going to come good for the title.
Nice, wow.
Or come close at least.
Yeah. We talked about the calling of one manager to be sacked. Since we last spoke, 2 managers have been sacked. We have Russell Martin of Southampton, and we have Gary O'Neill of Wolves.
My old team.
Did you see...
Yeah, they were on the wall, weren't they? They've been on the wall for about a month, maybe longer. And I think Russell Martins was like a dead cert.
Yeah.
I think, and I don't think he had much support publicly from pundits and that. I don't think that helps either, because, I would have thought most board members, etc., watch Match of the Day and listen to pundits and what have you. Even though half of them, 3/4 have never been managers. But it's easy to say, right? I just think with Martin, it was just like a case of almost stubbornness.
Was he...
Like, the more he got questions, the more he
Yeah.
dug in. And I think that can actually... Like, if I was a sporting director at Southampton, we'd be having conversation for hours to say, just for your sake, you've got to adapt.
Was he playing championship football in the Premier League?
I just think he got a way of playing that would probably work in the Premier League if you've got better players. It's no good saying, like, my players are, in comparison to everyone else in the league, they've got 8, 9s and 10s, and we've got, no disrespect, 4, 5s and 6s, but we're going to play a way that the 8, 9s and 10s play and beat them at their own game. Like, it's just like come on, If it's a puzzle, if you're driving down the M4 and like the motorway shut, you find a different way to go, don't you? If there's loads of traffic,
That was like me yesterday.
If there's loads of traffic, if you know the place, if you know the roads, you duck off and you find a different
going
route.
down the Chepstow Bridge, because I'm not going down. I'm not going down the 7.
You've got to find a different way. Do you know what I mean? I think it. I always say, as kids, as 14-year-olds, when you're 8, 9, 10, 11, don't worry about systems. Worry about how to learn to play football. But when you start to get 14, 15, coaches should be starting to introduce systems of play into kids, because, this kid might not necessarily go on and play for this first team, but he needs to know if he's a right back. Can he play right wing back? Can he play high in a 3? Can he do it? Got to have some experience and knowledge of different systems. And I think at the end, that's what's done for Russell Martin, is the lack of sort of being able to adapt.
And if you look at the teams who have broken that, so it's the aim of a promotion to the Prem, then your only one premise and only one goal is to stay in that Premier League and not get relegated. And then you have to find this identity in a club, in a way, to break out of that relegation battle.
Yeah. Well, you don't.
And if you look at the guys who have...
It's so difficult.
If you look at the guys who have got to that mid-table, you've got your Brentfords,
your Bournemouth,
your Villa. They haven't necessarily played that way, that Pep way.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, don't try and beat the guys at the best. Don't try to beat the really top guys at their own game.
Yeah.
Find a different identity.
Yeah.
That's going to push you.
Can't out Pep.
You can't.
Right? You're going to have to find a different route, which I think that's what we loved about the Liverpool Man City sort of last few years, right? Is you got Jurgen Klopp and you got Pep Guardiola and different styles of football. One's more of a possession base and one's more of a, attack from back to front very quickly. Do you know what I mean? One's more patient, one's less patient. So it was fascinating watching, see who's going to come out on top. So, but I honestly don't think you can outdo someone at their own game.
So you've got
it might happen, but it's a rarity.
You've got to find your own way.
So you've got to find your own way of winning. Gary O'Neill, I think he was unlucky to a degree. I think some of the decisions, they say, don't they, it never rains, it pours. And honestly, some of the decisions. So I think it was like last week or the week before, like 2 penalties in the game, and like neither of them got given. And I just felt so sorry for him, because I think he done marvellous. No one expected him to do what he done, and he's I think Scotty Sellers, my old mate, appointed him.
Yeah.
So
I think he's a really good manager. Like I really do. I feel the players he had were nowhere like being totally critical, nowhere near to the standard of the team they had 2-3 years ago.
Yeah,
like
they've sold a lot of players.
They sold so many players and not really replaced them with like for likes.
Yeah.
So you look at Raul Jimenez. Obviously, he's been through a lot, but he's shown at Fulham he can score goals and he's a really good player.
Yeah.
And they bought him as a top striker, and he is. They sold him, hasn't really been replaced. You look at Ruben Neves, João Moutinho. Even the likes of like Nunes went.
Yeah.
No one really.
It's hard to keep
that.
replenishing a team when that is your model. Yeah, if your model is to buy low, play, sell high, which is effectively what they've done. For that model to continually work, it's like, and a lot of their players are from the same sort of region. I would say part of their problem is, and I said this on we've done a thing in Wolves a few years ago in the theatre there, is having like largely one group of people from one area. If it crashes, they all crash together, sort of thing, right? So I've always thought like they got some great players, but spread it a bit more, spread it wider, spread your net, cast your net even further, and try and find these diamonds that you've found in the last like 4, 5, 6 seasons.
Because if you're taking that risk of the high-low, so buy low, sell high, the likelihood is going to slip up at one stage.
Yeah. You can't. It's almost impossible to continue to do. And I think the other thing they seem to lack is sort of presence from the academy. There hasn't been. There's a couple, but I always say if that's your model, then your academy should be great, churning out, right? So it means your coaches. I always say, academy is just not about players. It's more about coaches than it is about players, because the players have the talent. It's then how good can the coach, maximize that talent. So really disappointed. But listen, it's only halfway through the season. Not relegated or nothing like that. Yeah.
Do you think they could
go down? Wolves.
So Wolves. So in the relegation zone, you've got Wolves, Southampton, and then just above them is Ipswich.
Yeah.
Do you think Wolves
will get out?
Wolves will get out?
Yes, of course they will.
Are you saying that out of loyalty or out of total belief?
Total belief. I think Wolves will get out. Too good a team.
Wow, okay.
Bottom 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means you're saying that Ipswich will go down?
I don't know who will go down. I'm not saying who will go down. You just asked me will Wolves stay up. I think Wolves will stay up. 100%.
Okay. Yeah.
100%. I got Wolves, yeah. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd bet on Wolves again now. Definitely.
And in terms of managers who could replace, you've got the likes of the one person who's around is Steve Cooper. Do you think he would go for any of those?
I don't think either of those would go for him. Maybe Southampton, maybe. I don't think Wolves would, though. No. Don't think that's a fit.
Okay. So
I always thought going from Forest to Leicester, knowing how big a derby that is, I always say, like you loved up Forest. It takes some person to be loved by 2 rivals so close together.
So he's never coming to Cardiff then?
I can't see it. I can't see it. I think once you've so we did a doc about my uncle, right? About crossing the divide.
Yeah.
You get roads named after you. It's a rarity.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? It's like he was like if I say football, the first person always springs to mind for me is Dennis Law. United and City.
Yeah. Can I just say for context with your uncle as well, for those who haven't seen it, so Nathan and I worked on a documentary about your uncle, who is, if you've seen rugby league, you will know the name Clive Sullivan, who is the first black Great British captain. Still the only, I think. And still the only of a Great British sports team.
To win,
and to have won a World Cup.
Yeah.
Incredible person. He played for Hull Kingston Rovers and Hull FC.
Which is like...
Which is, what a rivalry, which we went to one of their games, and you saw like someone's dad giving like someone's cousin like the V's from like across the different stadium.
Brilliant, man.
What an atmosphere, crazy.
It was.
He played for both, is loved by both, and has a road named after him, has a trophy named after him.
Yeah.
And both clubs have the same respect and love for him, which is almost unmatched in any other sport or any other sports person that I can think of.
It's freakish.
It's just unbelievable.
It's unheard of, That's what I say. Like, I know Man City fans hold Dennis Law in really high esteem, but I know equally Man United fans do. So he's the one who I always think, like that's... Listen, I'm not saying it can't be done because it's done, but I thought like Steve Coops going to Leicester was a big ask, mate. Yeah. I don't think the fans are going to give you the same. You're going to have to do extraordinary things, but they'd already been promoted. They're in the Premier League, so it's then about keeping them up and going on to try and win things. Not forgetting they won the league 15-16, I think. So you're going to have to go some. You're going to have to win like either the League Cup or FA Cup to really get into those fans' loved books, right? So I thought it was a huge gamble.
You're saying you got a sidestep, a left winger, take it down the whole of the pitch, and score in a World Cup final to be university level. Honestly, if you can watch the footage of Clive Sullivan's World Cup try, it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
His sidestep and just his pace, consistent amount of pace to go and score. But amazing.
Yeah, it was a great time. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think...
In order to make that
Listen, I'm not saying Coops won't never come to Cardiff. I'm not saying he won't come to Cardiff. I'm just saying, like, once you've gone to your biggest rival, it's hard to be then, jump over to the other side and gain the same level of respect. It's rare. Hence why I used the uncle and Dennis Law as cited him as an example.
It's a great analogy, Amazing. So, Manchester. And then finish off with a bit of second inductee to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Dav.
Yeah.
So on the running order, we've gone with Dav's Hall of Fame. So we had Christopher Samba. Right?
I'm still so glad he was my first inductee.
So come on, let's Dav's Hall of Fame. Who's the second?
So my second inductee to my Hall of Fame.
Give me some clues, see if I can guess it first, because I haven't got a clue who you're talking about.
Okay, so he played for a team who were when he first started, they weren't particularly top. When he finished, they were very much on their way to being a very, very top team.
In the UK?
In the UK.
In England?
Yeah.
English team?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to give me a bit more.
So I'd say he was very much a Premier League player.
Yeah.
He's most notable for playing for two clubs, both in the north. So he played for...
Your clues are terrible.
I know. So he played for Man City before they really, really sparked into a great team.
And he played for two clubs in the north.
Clubs you haven't played for?
Clubs I haven't played for, so that would be United, City, Wigan, Preston, Blackpool, Bury, Burnley, Halifax.
He was
Accrington Stanley.
He was also, I can give you one of the clubs he played for. He played for Stoke as well, and he was part of a team which is...
Liverpool. Was the other team.
No, you've already said it. He played for Stoke and a team you've mentioned.
Man City.
Stoke and Man City.
Stoke and Man City. I'm not even going to think because I've not even got a clue.
So my next inductee to the Daf Matheson Hall of Fame is Stephen Ireland.
Oh yeah. Like the number 10 play behind the striker. He's a wicked player.
He basically taught David Silva how to do his job. So that's why.
Yeah. I don't know about that. That's a bit of a push. Because Silva's one of my all-time favourites. But he was a great player, yeah.
I didn't get the credit he deserved.
Yeah.
So had a lot of injuries. Of course.
Yeah.
And I think probably what happens with the Daf Matheson Hall of Fame is these are players who are really, really
I wonder
good.
where they are now. It would be great if we could get them on.
If I had Stephen Ireland, he was incredibly good for what he did. He was a really small player, about the same height as
Kind of ahead of his
Silva.
time, wasn't he?
I thought so. He had that almost like Joe Cole-esque-ness about him of he was small player, the ball stuck to his foot. He could play on the left if he wanted. He could play on the right. He was a number 10, but without that kind of
pace.
He didn't have that pace, and he didn't have that necessarily name behind him. Like he didn't ever really like wear number 10, and he wasn't the star because he would have played alongside the likes of like Elano with there. When he was at Stoke, it was.
He did kind of get a bit of recognition at the back end. Well, at City he did more than Stoke.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think he was a great player.
I love the fact also his name is the team he played for.
Yeah.
I love it. So
where are you now, Stephen Ireland?
I want to find out where Stephen Ireland is from. But he's an attacking midfielder, but you say ahead of his time in terms of could play anywhere. He would have been great in a Man City like they are now because he could have played in any single position up top. Yeah. Possibly even at that kind of when Julian Alvarez was at that false 9 way. And I just absolutely loved him. I thought he was a brilliant player.
Yeah. Great lad as well.
Yeah.
I never spent time with him, but he's my era. So you hear about different lads. Yeah, he is a great lad as well.
And
Stephen.
just one of those players who I really liked, kept his head down.
He was quite quiet.
Yeah, and I think that's what maybe he didn't get the recognition as a number 10 because you think of your number 10s, they're flashy.
Yeah.
They're flashy. They're big
time.
personalities.
They're big
celebrations. Yeah. And you just saw him head down, ball stuck to his foot, passed well, and he was one of those guys who you just thought would just pop up and score good goals. So he has to be in there. I loved watching him play, and he was just a name that always stuck in there.
Well, if he's ever in the vicinity and sees this,
I'd love to meet him.
And get him on the orange sofa.
Stephen, if we can get you on for a podcast here to chat about your career, I think it'd be amazing because he has such a
Christmas Amber as well. Can you imagine? Maybe I'll line them all up one day. As a Christmas gift.
I'd have to get a T-shirt as well. But no, so my second inductee to Daf Matheson Hall of Fame is Stephen Ireland.
That's a wicked one, yeah.
I think brilliant shout to.
I like it. I like it because it's not you're not going for the norm. It's the players who are they weren't off the radar. They were well known, but they probably don't get the recognition now because when you watch like different sporting channels, I won't mention them, but it's much the same people, much the same thing. You think the archive of like football you got, you know what I mean, and not well. If you're like one of the big boys, it's all Premier League, but think of Beeb. Imagine an archive of football that Beeb got. I remember like watching like Match of the Day and FA Cup finals and stuff like that. Like, oh my days, it's just like they used to love it. They got such a catalogue. And there's players there who, you forget about.
I've sat down there when doing kind of research and as you say, like when we worked on Clive Sullivan, one of my jobs was to sit down and find as much footage of him as I could. And then you find out you go down this rabbit hole of you realise how much footage there is of sport.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these like profiles of these players that, because the turnover of sports people is so quick, that you see these players, and there was a few years, and I think what it comes down to is, like you say, with Christopher Samba, with Stephen Ireland, there's like a season where it just felt they had a little bit more airtime than they did before, because they did some moments of brilliance.
Yeah. And there's a defender who scored 4 goals in like 8 games.
Yeah,
or something
like
that.
I don't think he'll ever make it into my Hall of Fame, but Jolien Lescott's one of those.
Yeah.
I remember seeing an Everton shirt and be like, that guy's scored another corner.
Yeah.
Like, how's he done that? Like, he would be in there, but I think for my 6'5" left-footed centre back, Christopher Samba just takes it over Jolien Lescott.
Okay.
But
Jolien's got Premier League titles, by the way.
I know. I think so.
That's why you're not giving him like the Matheson Hall of Fame.
If he had stuck with his guns and stayed at Everton for the rest of his career, he would be in it. Yeah. But he's sold out. So he's
sold out for success.
He's sold out for trophies. Who does that?
Who does that?
So there's going to be. I'm really excited to do more of it, because it brings back some really fond memories of footballers.
Yeah.
It brings back, as you say, like you've heard of what Stephen Ireland was like as a person, and it's nice to know that he's a good person.
Yeah.
I feel
most of the lads in football
were.
Most of the lads in football can't really say a bad word about anyone, really.
Nice.
You see them fall out with different people, managers and what have you, but generally, I think most footballers were good and enjoyed a good time in our day. It was far more, restricted now, I would say.
Who's the the most fun footballers you
on a night out?
Yeah, all of them. I feel like would they not be the same on the
there's
training
loads of different. There's different people at different clubs, for different reasons. Charlie Artfield was great at Sheffield United. Dane Whitehouse, Mitch Ward, Carl Bradshaw, Adi Littlejohn, still one of my best friends to this day. They were great at Sheffield United. It was great at Sheffield United. Just great club.
I feel like when we speak,
great city,
and we talk about your career, it seems to be a good time for you was your Wolves and Sheffield United. You seem to have some.
Yeah,
really fond memories
to be honest with you,
of
the only thing I regret with Sheffield is not getting promoted. But Bolton, probably, it's hard to beat Bolton. As a group of players, as a club, and what we achieved. But great times at Cardiff as a kid. I was still a kid at Sheffield United, basically. And then Bolton. Blackburn was decent, different, I would say, different. Decent. Still loved my time there. But then Wolves was just like, I think a lot of it is down to the dressing room. And I would say Cardiff, we had a great dressing room. Sheffield, we had a great dressing room. So funny times just thinking about it. Bolton, we had a great dressing room. Blackburn was a good dressing room, but it was a lot of, it wasn't players, it was just a lot of upheaval. There was a lot of change. There was a lot of, there was different managers through the door quickly and out quickly and things like that. And then Wolves was a great dressing room.
And in terms of your career as well?
Fun Wolves was. Laugh a minute.
What, Wolves?
Just absolute pee taking. Great as well, because you had you had probably 9 or 10 black players and then about 12, 15 white players. So you had a great mix of sort of people from different countries, different cultures. So you had black African, black Caribbean, white guys from North, white guys from London, white guys from abroad, and black guys from abroad. And so you had a really good mix of characters.
Nice.
But it was just a laugh a minute. It was just a piss take, basically, the dressing room.
And with all the clubs that you play for, because you play for quite a lot of clubs.
Yeah.
Lots of footballers will stick to one club and play there for a long time. Yeah. You had a real variation of cities, towns, places. Are you happy with the way you did that in terms of your career?
Yeah.
You saw a lot of the UK.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of northeast, northwest.
Yeah.
If I didn't live in Wales, I'd move back to where I lived in Warrington, in Cheshire. It was just a brilliant place to live. You know, Manchester on your doorstep one way, Liverpool on your doorstep the other way.
And rugby league in the middle as well.
Lake District up the road, St Helens around the corner, Warrington, my local team, St Helens, Widnes, Wigan up the road. Remember going there with Dave Fever. So to do some rehab, great day there. Just loved the area. The only thing I didn't love about it, the M6. That was the only thing I didn't love. And then go over the Pennines, over the Snake Pass. I'd be in Sheffield in an hour, go and see my mate Aid, go out in Sheffield. Just that strip, I think, across like Nottingham. You got like Loughborough, Nottingham, Derby, Leicester, Nottingham, and then Sheffield and Chesterfield. I lived in Chesterfield for a while, and Leeds, and then you go across the 62, then you come to Manchester, you go further on into Liverpool. It's just like that strip across from one side to the other.
Yeah.
North,
a lot
west,
going on
northeast.
there. Yeah, there's
a
so
lot
much
going
on.
in. So 3 or 4 massive cities, and then big towns, 5 or 6, 7 big towns. A lot of football, a lot of rugby, a lot to do. Some beautiful places to go. Blackpool, go and see the lights and all that, and roller coasters. And that. Great place
Let's
to
see
live.
Nathan Blake on the Big Dipper go around.
I shout myself, mate. I'll be honest with you. I'm one of them who just pretends. Yay! Whilst clinging on like. Is that a wrap, D, or are we going to go on? I think that's a wrap, isn't it?
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
In the new studio.
In the new studio.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And
I'm saying it's a wrap because I'm down to go toilet.
yeah.
When you get to mid-age of 50s, you can't hold it that long.
Well, thank you so much for all those listening to
Yes.
this episode. It'll be technically episode 6, but we're going to have some more reoccurring as we can, at least every other week here at the studio. So
I'd like to get out to the public, I would. That's why I'd take it on the road.
that would be sweet. We'd love to do that. And meet some of the fans. Maybe you can show me around. You can show me around Warrington and Sheffield, and that. And find us on Spotify, Real Talk All Sport Podcast. Give us a subscribe as well, because it really helps other people find this as well. You can see us on Instagram, Real Talk All Sport Pod, TikTok as well, and on YouTube at Mr. B Productions -WAL. Please subscribe and pass it on, because it is a real help. And it means we can do more of this and possibly take it on the road too.
Yes.
Which would be sweet.
And with that, I've got to go.